I found an article that is about as ridiculous as they come. It's all about recognizing that men are lost, and it's about, what is it? It's a map out of the wilderness. But of course, it's written by a woman. So aren't we excited to hear what her plan is for them? I'm totally excited to see what she has to say. I've scanned a little bit just to make sure it was something that, would be worth responding to. And it seems like it is. Welcome back to Far From Eden. It's good to be here. I really wanted to start this last night, but goodness gracious, I was so weak. The MS just was like, no, you're not going to do that. So, and you know what? It's my fault. I got real excited in physical therapy on Friday because I'm feeling like I'm about to have a breakthrough and be able to walk better. I'm still trying to get off, I'm still trying to be able to walk without a cane, or at least walk more normally with it. And anyway, I'll keep doing it, even if I'm doing it the day they put me in the grave, because it's just, you have two choices, and one is to give up and the other one is to fight, and giving up is just not an option. So, but obviously sometimes I have to say, okay, I need to stop because I don't have a choice. Feeling stronger today. I ended up actually going to a horse show. It's basically across the street, and I knew the person and I wanted to see her horse show. So I went over there for a little bit, got myself stuck up on a hill, and like my legs were like, yeah, we're not going to walk down because they got too cold. So that was scary, but I made it. Anyway, no more about that. One more thing, side note, there used to be a little something right here, but I've realized after a couple of guys in the chat mentioned it, or in the comments mentioned it, it was a throw, like a blanket with a unicorn on it that my sister gave me, and I just had it there, started making videos sitting here in my recliner, and realized, oh wait, and then I recognized like the meaning of unicorn, and I thought, well, that's hilarious. But I get that not everyone is gonna see that I thought it was funny and ironic. And I thought, oh God, I don't want them thinking like, look at me, I'm a unicorn. Because I'm over here like, please don't think unicorns exist, that's dangerous. And if you think one exists, you probably should vet her even more. So I had to remove the unicorn. My sister got it for me because I love horses, always have. My childhood horse was a very, it was a gray, because you never call a horse white unless they have pink skin. Anyway, it was a gray horse, but he was very white, so that's why she gave it to me. That's all that was. So thank you guys for being here, and we're gonna get through this and make sure we have our vomit bags ready. So this is from the Washington Post. It's an opinion piece, and the title is Men Are Lost, Here's a Map Out of the Wilderness by Christine Emba. She's a columnist and a member of the editorial board. Well, that sounds like some very strong credentials. That's sarcasm if you're watching by closed caption or subtitles. All right, here we go. Here's what Christine has to say. I started noticing it a few years ago. Men, especially young men, were getting weird. It might have been the incels who first caught my attention, spewing self-pitying venom online, sometimes venturing out to attack the women they believed had done them wrong. Okay, no, please go to my video called, what is it called? Defending the Incel. It was before I knew how to make thumbnails or anything like that, so it's a little bit back. No, an incel is a person who is involuntarily celibate. There are so many men out there, good men, excellent men, who can't get a date. Why? Because the women are too good for them. They think that they're all these Instagram models that are going to get, quarterbacks and, rappers and whatever high value man they think they qualify for. And honestly, they'd rather, be a side chick for one of those guys than actually value a good man and look at things like character and stuff like that. But no. So she's already, what are we? We are in the, I guess technically it's the second paragraph. And the first paragraph is a sentence. Spewing self-pitying venom. Self-pitying venom. What do we call it when the women do that? Because that's what they do all the time. They've been doing it since I was a kid and I got 17 magazine. Okay, we better continue because Lord have mercy. It might have been the complaints from the women around me. Quote, men are in their flop era. One lamented, sick of trying to date in a pool that seemed shallower than it should be. I'm not familiar with flop era. It could be that I'm too old. It could be that I'm the wrong culture. But it doesn't sound good. It sounds like another insult. We should have a ding to insults. It might have been the new ways companies were trying to reach men. Quote, the average hoodie made these days is weak, flimsy, growled a YouTube ad for tactical hoodie. You're not a child, you're a man. So stop wearing so many layers to go outside. Companies go after men, or they go after any group where they are. So I guess these are things that made her notice this. Wow, she's just noticed it a few years ago, and these are the things that made her notice it. Typical. Not understanding what anybody else is going through. Once my curiosity was piqued, I could see a bit of curdling in some of the men around me too. Curdling, like going bad? Another insult. They struggled to relate to women. They didn't have enough friends. According to whom? They lacked long-term goals. Some guys, including ones I once knew, just quietly disappeared, subsumed into video games and corn, or sucked into the alt-right and the web of misogynistic communities known as the manosphere. Okay. They struggled to relate to women because women aren't women anymore. And men relate to women as men. And women began to expect men to relate to women as women. And so that's not a man problem right there. They didn't have enough friends. According to whom? Men are not herd animals the same way women are. So that's a female criticism. They lack long-term goals. Yeah, because there's no women. There's no wives. Why would they, what's the point? What's the point? Newsflash, chicks, they don't have long-term goals generally to be impressive or for the same reason that women do. It's not for their ego. It's a means unto an end. So they go to work, they have goals because they want a family, they want to provide for that family, they want to, take care of that family, and that is what gives them purpose. When women go to work, they go to work for them. Oh, the weirdness manifested in the national political scene too. In the 4chan-fueled 2016 campaign for Donald Trump, in the backlash to #MeToo, in amateur militias during Black Lives Matter protests. I did not know this was going to get that political. Some of the stuff I will just not respond to. Misogynistic text thread chatter took physical form in the Proud Boys, some of whom attacked the Capitol on January 6, 2021. Young men everywhere were trying on new identities, many of them ugly, all gesturing toward a desire to belong. No. Wow, she's way off. Way off. That's why I wanted to read this. Because I'm like, well, what do the other women think about this stuff? If they do know, because most women have, like, they have no idea that men are like, bye. They really don't know. And then when they do start to notice, I wanted to know, well, what are they saying? I guess they're saying this. That was a lot in that paragraph, and I'm going to skip over a lot of that because that is not what this channel is about. But I know that some of you can read my mind, but I will talk about backlash to Me Too. I'm not so sure that Donald Trump was a backlash to Me Too. I'm not sure that was what that was, but there was a backlash to the hashtag Me Too movement because people started to realize these women are lying. And when the way that I saw it was Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. That went down in, 2022? Hashtag Me Too started in 2018. But boy, I know that it still happens and it's still a huge problem. But what I've seen in the women since the Amber Heard thing is that they will now call out that the woman is lying. Or they'll say, well, we need some evidence. And I'm saying that because I talk to people, but also I'm in the chat and I'm addicted to court, watching court, family court. And so now when I'm watching it and I've got like the chat, I look at what people are saying. And even the women, when there's like an accusation, they go, okay, well, all we have is your word. And I'm like, good, that's right. You can't just believe somebody just because they said it. I don't care who they are. But so she's wrong about that. And she's bringing a whole bunch of other stuff into it. And I think it's because obviously she doesn't know what she's talking about. It felt like a widespread identity crisis, as if they didn't know how to be. Quote, this is such an ongoing thing, Taylor Reynolds sighs. I had this kid show up. Well, I say kid, but he's an undergraduate here. I mentor them sometimes. He came over to my house and asked me if we could speak privately. Reynolds, 28, is a doctoral student in an Ivy League university. With his full beard, mustache, and penchant for tweed sport coats, plus a winsome Southern accent, courtesy of a childhood spent in rural Georgia, he reads as more mature than many of the professors roaming the campus. Quote, and the first question this kid asked me is just, what the heck does good masculinity look like? He grimaced. And I'll be honest with you, I did not have an answer for that. That's terrible. I know you guys would. You guys wouldn't be like, I don't have an answer for that. That's ridiculous. Well, I don't think you would have an answer for that if you're a professor in a college, because I think it would be like, you'd probably get tackled if you even started to say that masculinity was positive in any way at all. You'd be tackled. Ah! So he didn't know. How are you, these people in college, these professors and stuff, they're so educated. Anxieties around masculinity aren't unique to this moment. Oh, we're going to go back in history. Oh, goody. As early as 1835, Washington Irving lamented the new American upper class's tendency to, quote, send our youth abroad to grow luxurious and effeminate in Europe. His alternative? A previous tour on the prairies would be much more likely to produce the manliness most in unison with our political institutions. Indeed, I say yes, sir. That sounds better. Yeah, out on the American prairie, not over there in Paris. Anyway, skip ahead a few decades, and new worries about faltering masculinity turned into an obsession with fitness. An October 1920 issue of Physical Culture magazine advertised to men instructions on, quote, how to square your shoulders, and to women some advice, shall I marry him? A lesson in eugenics. What? What? That's so funny. But when I was younger, I remember my parents talking about, I can't remember which one, it was probably both of them, talking about like, you know, finding someone from good stock. And I never thought that was weird, but as you get older, you go, oh, my family did that. That's kind of weird. But yeah, like somebody comes from good stock. I, being of British heritage, English heritage, that's almost all there is. I would, look to an Englishman and say, well, you look like you're of good stock. Just that's the way people used to look at who to start a family with. That was part of it. Did they come from good stock? Good genes, good family, similar values, although back then we actually had a culture, so we all had kind of similar values, but I digress. Wow. Yeah. So men were obsessed with fitness, apparently. We've jumped back to 1835 and then to 1920. Okay. And now we're jumping to 1958. Still, by 1958, Arthur Schlesinger Jr. warned that, quote, the male role has plainly lost its rugged clarity of outline. Writing in Esquire magazine, he added, the ways by which American men affirm their masculinity are uncertain and obscure. There are multiplying signs indeed that something has gone badly wrong with the American male's conception of himself. Wow, 1958. Arthur Schlesinger Jr. I think I need to look that guy up. He was onto something, because the more I research this, you guys go back in my videos. I have one, I think it's titled an 80-year-old feminist or 84-year-old feminist. I was like, I was really shocked that they are, and I've come across several more in that age group that I'm like, are you serious right now? You're a feminist? It goes way back. You can't say, oh, I'm good with first wave feminism because that was the right to vote, blah, 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 blah. No, it was literally privileges without responsibility, without accountability. It instituted, we got the right to vote without having to be drafted, which meant we could vote to send the guys to war. We could vote for war and have no skin in the game and have nothing. We never had to sacrifice. When 50% of the population can vote, that the other 50% has to go and sacrifice their lives for whatever, that and women don't see a problem with that. That's a way it could change, honestly. Stay with me. If feminism pushed a little bit more forward and they wanted to pass the Equal Rights Amendment, and they made it so that women would have to fight if they wanted the right to vote, then they would have to sign up for the draft. And if women actually had to do something for all these rights, might change. So it's a little hope. Do I want feminism to go farther? Not really, but I mean, how much farther can it go socially? It's pretty bad. So I'm like, give them all the rights, treat them equally. Because I'll tell you what, you'll see some people running back to the kitchen if they really get treated equally. It'd be fun. Worrying about the state of our men is an American tradition. But today's problems are real and well documented. Deindustrialization, automation, free trade and peacetime have shifted the labor market dramatically and not in men's favor. The need for physical labor has declined, while soft skills and academic credentials are increasingly rewarded. Growing numbers of working-age men have detached from the labor market, with the biggest drop in employment among men aged 25 to 34. For those in a job, wages have stagnated everywhere except the top. Well, we've already established that the men don't have a lot of, reason to get out there and bust themselves the way they used to. And physical labor, that has not changed. It has been outsourced. All the manufacturing, this has all been done on purpose. All of our physical, not all of them, but a lot of our physical labor jobs have been outsourced. And a lot of made up silly things have been invented. There's so many jobs like pushing paper and just, shuffling things around, especially in the government. A lot of that has been added, and in healthcare. And a lot of that is really unnecessary at the end of the day. It's not anything we need to survive. We need the men on the oil rigs. We need, if there are any men still mining coal, we need that. We need trash to keep running. We need the grid to stay on. We need the sewer system to keep working and the water plants to keep working. These are things that morons like this do not think about. You know why they don't think about it? They've never had to. They've never had a reason to appreciate a man because it's all just been done for them. It's always done for them. You flip the switch, the light come on. You open the faucet, water comes out. You call the police, they come. But you keep treating men like this. And I'll say what I've said before. Men can only take so much. And you're already seeing them pull back from marriage, from their jobs. And what do? So far, insult them and not even begin to understand. Not once have I seen, did she ask a guy? She asked that professor. This is definitely a woman that thinks the answers are in the university walls. And I actually have seen this argument before, and strangely enough, it was on the Whatever podcast. It was on one of their debates, and one of the young ladies was talking about how physical labor is going out and all this other different labors coming in. Some men are on their way out, and Andrew just slayed her argument. I wish I could like Andrew can, but he's him. That was good stuff. Okay. Oh, this one's good. Here we go. Barf bag's handy. Meanwhile, women are surging ahead in school and in the workplace and in debt, putting a further dent in the provider model that has long been ingrained in our conception of masculinity. Men now receive about 74% bachelor's degrees for every 100 awarded to women. I have so much to say, like every few words she says it, I can't stop myself. Okay, you're a moron to go to college at this point unless you're going for a certain thing like engineering or doctor or something technical, something you have to learn there, something you need to be accredited in to go forward. When women go to school, by and large, those aren't the degrees we're getting, okay? So don't be bragging about your useless college degrees and your endless debt, all right, sweetheart? Because I think this is turning into competition and I'm not liking it. Whew. Whew. Okay. And men account for more than 70% of the decline in college enrollment overall because they're smart, because they're like, this is a scam. I'm gonna go get a trade, or I'm just not gonna do this. In 2020, nearly half of women reported in a TD Ameritrade survey that they out-earn or make the same amount as their husbands or partners, a huge jump from fewer than 4% of women in 1960. All right, well, I'm sorry. Okay, this lady's giving me neurological symptoms. Sorry. What? Oh. Can you guys imagine me interviewing somebody like this? Like, I want to do it someday. I'm still trying to hone my skills as a debater, because I want to come in there and be surgical with it. So a huge jump from fewer than 4% of women. So we're just competing right now. So what does that have to do? What does women surging, blah, 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 what does that have to do with men are struggling? How rude is it to talk about, okay, this section of the population seems to be in crisis, so let's talk about that. Let's have a serious talk about that. But meanwhile, while we're talking about that, I want to talk about this other part of the population that's just kicking their butts. First of all, women aren't. But also, if that were true, how rude. Like, how heartless and rude. Whew. Then there's the domestic sphere. Last summer, a Psychology Today article caused a stir online by pointing out that dating opportunities for heterosexual men are diminishing as relationship standards rise. Did we read that together? I feel like we did. No longer dependent on marriage as a means, we totally read that together. No longer dependent on marriage as a means to financial security or even motherhood. A growing number of women are choosing to create families by themselves with the help of reproductive technology. Not a good idea and totally selfish. Women are increasingly selective, leading to a rise in lonely, single young men. Yeah, and leading to women all dating the same guy. That's not a win for you, ladies. Like, that is not something to be proud of. So far, you're going to college, which is pointless, and you're getting into a lot of debt, and you're all dating the same dude, and you'll probably never get married. And if you do decide to have kids, you're going to do it purposely without a father. Wow. Sounds like she needs to focus on what's wrong with the women. Like, stay in her lane, maybe? More of whom now live with their parents than a romantic partner. Yeah, probably because they got taken to the cleaners in divorce court. So they have to, because they're supporting her. She got the house, and so he's got to still pay the mortgage. It's ridiculous. Men also account for almost 3 of every 4 deaths of despair, either from a self-unaliving, alcohol abuse, or an overdose. Yeah. Again. Why? Because there are no women and they don't have families. So they're asking themselves, what are we here for? They're realizing the women don't love them. That's what they're realizing. It's really sad and cruel. But sure, let's keep on dogging on them. Let's just do that. I can't imagine why they have 3 out of every 4 deaths of despair. And while the past 50 years have been revolutionary for women, the feminist movement championed their power, and an entire academic discipline emerged to theorize about gender and excavate women's history. Excavate? It's more like fabricate. There hasn't been a corresponding conversation about what role men should play in a changing world. At the same time, the increasing visibility of the LGBTQ movement has made the gender dynamic seem less stable, less defined. Indeed. Indeed. Again, that's not what the channel's about, so I'm just going to not respond to that. Because men still dominate leadership positions in government and corporations, many assume they're doing fine and bristle at male complaint. Yeah, like this chick. After all 45 US presidents have been male, and men still make up more than 2/3 of Congress. I'm smiling because I'm like, yeah, because they're more competent than we are at those things. That's why they're still there. They could be, 35% of the workforce and they'd still be there because they are more competent than we are at all those things. It's just where they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be in leadership. A 2020 analysis of the S&P 500 found that there were more CEOs named Michael or James than there were female CEOs, period. I wonder if that was hard for her to type. Oh, I enjoyed that. Okay, let's get it together. Let's pull it together. Women are still dealing with historical discrimination and centuries of male domination that haven't been fully accounted for or rectified. Stupid. Are we really worrying that men feel a little emasculated because their female classmates are doing well? First of all, they don't feel emasculated by that. They don't feel emasculated by that, lady. You feel emasculated by that. You're the one competing. They don't want to compete with you. They're like, here, take it, fine, whatever, bye. And you're like, why so mad? It's like, I'm not mad, I'm just done. They're mad. They're the ones throwing a tantrum. And it's hilarious to watch them do it. I really do. I do enjoy when these women realize the men are done. Like their little, because they want it to be a fight. And the men are like, I don't want to fight. I'm just done. And there's nothing a woman hates more than that, because then they're being ignored. And it's fabulous to watch. But millions of men lack access to that kind of power and success. There's going to be the cream of the crop or what have you that rise to, CEO and all of that. And men know that. Men understand that there's a hierarchy and they understand where they fit in it. So they aren't the ones bitching about, hey, how come I'm not a CEO? That would be the women doing that. Okay, so let's see. But she thinks that's what's going on. And downstream, cut loose from a stable identity. Okay, what? This one's crazy. I got to start this again. But millions of men lack access to that kind of power and success. And downstream, cut loose from a stable identity as patriarchs deserving of respect, they feel demoralized and adrift. That's probably the closest she's come to an accurate statement. But it's not that she doesn't know why. The data show it, but so does the general mood. Men find themselves lonely, depressed, anxious, and directionless. I also think that's an accurate statement, because there are no women, therefore there are no wives, and there are no mothers. And anybody with half a brain knows that we are here for each other, for family, for legacy. We're not here for our jobs. We don't exist to work all the time, come home, do some housework, shove some food in our face, sleep, get up and do it all over again. I mean, the elites have us thinking that that's what it's all for, but that's because that's what they want us for. We are supposed to be about each other and our community and spending time with our families. And I think that men inherently know that, and women are, they don't know it yet. They might figure it out once they, get to the certain age and they're like, yeah, my career isn't keeping me warm at night. I'm not happy. Guess what? Life isn't about being happy, and it isn't your career that's going to get you there anyways. It's kind of terrifying that he thought I was the best person to come ask this. Oh, we're back to the professor. Reynolds went on to tell me about his underclassman visitor. I am not even a parent. You don't need to be a parent to know what good masculinity is? Lord have mercy. I'm not even a parent. It seems like there's been a breakdown, right? But there's a very real way in which, at this moment, a lot of guys don't know. They have no sense of what it means to be them, particularly. They have no idea what it means to be a man. Yeah, because if you remove God, then you just get to make it up. Past models of masculinity feel unreachable or socially unacceptable. Bingo! And who made it socially unacceptable? Yeah. New ones have yet to crystallize. Oh no, we know. They want men to be like women. What are men for in the modern world? What do they look like? Where do they fit? These are social questions, but also ones with major political ramifications. Whatever self-definition men settle on will have an enormous impact on society, yet many people, like Reynolds, hesitate to be the one to try to outline a new standard of manliness. Who are they to set the rules? Only one group seems to have no such doubts about offering men a plan. Only one group seems to have no such doubts about, oh. And then the next section is, this must be the only group that seems to have no doubts about what it is to be a man, because the next section is a manly appeal from the right. So that will conclude our little fun article reading tonight. We will start next time with a manly appeal from the right. That should be fun. Wow. Now, if I ever come across someone who starts saying things like this, I will not stay quiet. I will say something. I will not just sit there and allow them to rag on men like that. I won't do it. I will not. I won't stand for it. I've already lost friends. I've risked my reputation in the horse industry. I risk it all the time. The more this channel grows, the more risky it is. There's going to be a lot of people if this channel gets bigger and people find it, I'm scared. I'm not going to lie, I'm scared. But if it needs to get out, it'll grow. And if it needs to be heard, then I'm going to say it. And it's more important than any relationships I have that would fall because of my beliefs in this. If there's somebody who's not going to be my friend because I'm passionate about this topic, because I'm passionate about what men are dealing with in this society and have been for decades, as I saw it in my father, I've seen it in several other men I love. And although it has not happened to me directly, I certainly would have a much different family situation without the evils of feminism and women with borderline personality disorder and things like that. So I'm going to speak up. And I'm going to speak up whenever it comes up, because it's what's right. And if I'm going to lose something, I'm going to be able to look at myself in the mirror, and I'm going to be able to look at you guys. So a couple guys were talking about in the comments, like, would I be willing to put skin in the game? Yeah, I would. I don't know how I can, but like I said, like, I've lost people, but you can't really lose someone if it's over something like this, because then they really weren't your friend to begin with. And then who are they if they want to sit there and keep calling men incels or keep taking advantage of men like they're a wallet? I'm not going to do that. So I'm thankful for you guys very thankful for you guys, and sorry this is coming out so late. But glad to be back with you. Even though it was only one day, it felt like a long time. And I'm going to see you on the next one. I'm hoping it's tomorrow, but you never know. So I want you to take care of yourselves. I want you to do something that feeds your soul. And remember that I love you, and I will see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.